We just spent 3 days hiking up an active volcano known as Mount Rinjani, and after spending countless hours planning the trip, we're now providing you with all the essential information you'll need, including how do you get there, the food, what to pack, cell phone reception, are there bathrooms, when to visit, and so much more. I'm not saying we know more than the locals. We just like walking up giant volcanoes with huge cameras making extremely niche high quality videos for YouTube. This is the Mount Rinjani Trekking Guide. Let's go!
I'm living my best life. I'm living my best life.
Now let's buckle up and answer the essentials to know. First, what's the Rinjani Trek? Well, it's a multi-day camping hike that takes place on the second highest volcano in Indonesia. It's located on the island of Lombok, and within the first 24 hours you'll have an elevation gain of almost 2,600 meters, or 8,500 feet, or 785 stories, or 102,000
inches.
There are different versions of this trek that you can go on. We'll mostly be talking about the 3-day, 2-night trek that starts in Sembalun and ends in Torean or Senaru, since it'll provide the most amount of detail even if you're only interested in the 2-day trek. So then, how do you get there? That all depends on how far away you currently are. Lombok does have its own international airport you can fly into, or you could take a ferry from Bali or one of the other surrounding islands to reach Lombok. Once on the island, the majority of trekking companies can provide you with free transportation to the Senaru village, where you'll also be staying a night before the trek officially starts.
Savings.
Well, do you need a guide? Yes, it is a mandatory requirement that you have a licensed guide here. The guide will also know first aid and have taken a mountain safety training course in the event of an emergency. You'll have one of these guides for every 4 to 5 people in your group. Can you do a private trek instead? 100% you can, and that's exactly what we did. This way you can go at your own speed and not have to worry about other people in the group. Doing so also gave us the flexibility to modify the trek if it was too difficult later on. Do you need a permit? Yes, you will need to purchase a permit to do this trek. Luckily, the trekking companies handle this entire section, so you don't need to worry about it. What's the language? Indonesian is the official language of the country and spoken by over 97% of the population. Your porters will most likely only speak Indonesian, but the guides will be able to speak both Indonesian and English. Okay, well I guess then what trekking company should I choose? There are a wide range of different companies to choose from. At last count, there are at least 50 different companies just in the Senaru village alone. So when researching these companies, you'll want to 1. Look at the variety of food they provide, 2. If they provide rides to and from anywhere on Lombok, 3. Their price, 4. Recent reviews on TripAdvisor, and 5. How they handle their trash on the mountain. Well, what about your other luggage? Like many people trekking Mount Rinjani, this is only a small part of their trip while in Indonesia, so bringing snorkel equipment to the top of a volcano is, well, not ideal. Luckily, the vast majority of trekking companies offer free secure storage of any of your belongings that you don't need while on the mountain. Well, when's the best time to trek? June, July, and August are the best months to complete this trek. We'll provide much more details on this later in the video. Is it crowded? The first day and a half coming from Sembalun to the summit, the trail will have the most amount of people compared to the rest of the time. If you plan on going during June, July, or
Drumroll, please.
August, it will be the busiest time and the trail will have a constant stream of people, especially that first day and a half. If you decide on going any other month, you'll still have people around, just not constantly. Then what's the power outlet? Indonesia uses the Type C and the Type F power socket, but with that said, you'll find zero electricity on the mountain itself, so make sure to pack power banks if you need something charged. Do you get like cell phone reception? On day 1 of the trek, you'll have a couple bars of cell phone service for a good part of the day, but once you get to that volcano's crater rim where you're camping, you'll most likely lose all cell phone service until you're at day 3 when you're a few miles away from the end of the trek. And here's the tip, right before the crater's rim edge, before getting to the tents, you'll have the last area of cell phone reception. How long do you hike per day? Well, on average, day 1 you hike 8 hours, followed by the big summit day, which takes 11 hours, and then on the final day 3, it's a much more manageable 6 hours of hiking. To hit these averages, you'll also need to be doing some training beforehand and be physically fit. We'll dive much deeper into this in our what to expect section. So I guess how many guides and porters will we have? There's a maximum of 5 people per guide, and you can expect at least 2 other porters to be carrying the food, tents, water,
Etc., etc., etc.
Can you drink the water? Nope, there aren't any spots on the mountain that you're able to refill a water bottle. But with that said, one of the porters will be carrying all the water you need, so there's no need to worry about it. Well, what about the bathrooms? I think we only saw 1 bathroom the entire time. Everything else is just ducking behind a tree or in one of these square boxes that your porter will set up, which is just
Drum roll, please.
a hole in the ground. Cash or credit card. After making your online deposit for the trip, your trekking company should be able to accept both cash and credit card for the final payment, although you'll most likely have to pay a 3% fee if you're using a credit card. When on Mount Rinjani itself, there are a host of small shops selling food and drinks. If you need something extra, cash will be the only option here. Well then, what are the prices like? Depending on what company you choose, you can currently expect to pay anywhere between $180 and $300 US per person. Is there tipping? It is customary to do so for both the guides and the porters. We tipped 100,000 rupees per person. What about the wildlife?
I love wildlife.
There is an interesting wildlife ecosystem that specifically survives on the trekkers' leftovers. On day 1, a nearby farm lets cows graze on the leftovers near the start of the trek. While higher up the mountain, you'll encounter wild mice and monkeys feasting on the daily leftovers of people that don't finish eating. Is it difficult? Well, take this for what it's worth, but we've done 3 treks previously to this and trained for each of them. We're both in very good physical shape, but didn't train at all for this one. The vertical ascent here was very difficult for us. We actually decided to modify our trek on day 2 so we wouldn't have to climb as much. Is it safe? More or less, this is a pretty safe trek. You will not need any special climbing equipment besides the trekking poles. Your guide will know exactly where to go and will have your back if you need any help, so there's no need to worry about maps or trail-specific phone apps. But like with any other trek, this route does have some parts where if you take a misstep, you could severely injure yourself or
Drum roll, please. Drum roll.
but we find this is pretty common with most hiking activities. And that, my friends, is the essential things you'll need to know before trekking
Mount Rinjani. When to go?
May through August is when the weather should be perfect, but June through August you'll have the most possibilities of clear skies, warmer temperatures at the peak, and less wind. You'll find September and October are still very good for trekking with dry weather like the summer months, but much fewer crowds.
A little too quiet.
You'll just notice the landscape won't be as green. On the other hand, April and May offers a very green, lush landscape, but you'll most likely have light showers during the afternoon, making hiking during this time very dangerous and slow. In December, raining conditions will really pick up here, which makes trekking. In fact, if it rained at any point during our time on Rinjani, it would probably become extremely slow. Then the last few months, January through March, you'll encounter the wet season, where the mountain is actually closed to all trekking activities. Our trek occurred in the beginning of October, and we battled extreme winds on our push to the summit, which is very common September through November.
I love wildlife.
The food.
From excellent to fantastic. Food on this trek was surprisingly great, considering it's all being carried up and made by these porters. Most of the meals served during our lunches and dinners were Indonesian cuisine, along with a giant plate of fresh fruit. We were constantly unable to finish these meals that were provided to us. Then for drinks, of course, you had water, coffee, tea.
Etc., etc.
Even when we stopped for a quick 5 to 10 minute break, our guide would offer us different biscuit cookies to tie us over until the next meal. Just be sure to research the different trekking companies and read the recent reviews on the food, since some services provide the same meal over and over again. Also, if you do have any dietary needs, most companies could accommodate this as long as you provided them with advance notice.
What to pack?
First off, just to give you a heads up, this was our 4th time doing a trek, and it was by far the shortest by a long shot. so packing for this was much easier than we usually have to deal with. Second off, none of these companies paid us to be featured in this video. This is just what we've used and it's worked the best for us. Now let's get to the good stuff. Let's start off with the actual bag needed to store everything in. The backpack used could have easily been in the 35-liter size range to pack everything. We were already backpacking through Indonesia and had our 55-liter Osprey bags on hand, so this is what we used for our trek. On what to wear, let's start at the bottom and work our way up. For shoes, you'll either want over-the-ankle hiking boots or running-style shoes. Since we were only spending 3 days trekking out of the 3.5 weeks in Indonesia, we opted for our running shoes. We would also recommend bringing some sandals to wear at night and in the morning. The last thing you'll want to do when you get done hiking for the day, put back on those sweaty, soaked shoes. You'll also want a pair of socks for each day you're on the mountain, so if you're doing a 3-day trek, pack 2 socks and you wear the other pair at the beginning. Let's move up to pants and shorts. You'll want to bring 1 pair of hiking style pants to use on day 2 when it's much cooler. I use the Western Rise pants, which are very light, water resistant, and were very comfortable for hiking long distances. You'll also want a pair of running style shorts or a pair of leggings to wear on day 1, as well as to rewear on day 3 to save on weight.
Savings.
Finally, you'll want to bring some underwear for each day that you're there that you're comfortable walking endlessly in. You could also possibly pack a swimsuit since there is a natural hot spring, or pajamas. We did not bring either of these. Lower half of the body, done. For the upper body, you'll need gloves, a winter hat, and a neck gaiter or a scarf to keep you warm on your way to the summit. And for shirts, you'll want to wear things in layers since you'll be experiencing big temperature changes at night and on the day 2 summit. So you'll need 3 quick dry shirts like Nike or Under Armour, then a long sleeve thermal or a long sleeve quick dry shirt if you're a woman, 2 sports bras, a windbreaker or a waterproof rain jacket, and possibly a heavier fleece or a full jacket. Some of the trekking companies will rent you these heavy jackets so you don't have to bring one all the way to Indonesia. There's also no need to pack extra clothing for when you're finished. Leave all that with the secured luggage at the hotel to save on weight. Now let's break down the other random stuff that you'll need to pack. A headlamp for going to the bathroom at night, and for trekking in the wee early hours of the morning so you can reach the top of Rinjani at sunrise. We've used the Black Diamond 400 headlamp and it's worked great for us. Hiking poles, which are basically required because of the loose ground, especially if you want to reach the summit. And here's a tip: if you don't have a headlamp or trekking poles, you may be able to rent one from your trekking company. You'll also want to bring some cash, your passport, a battery pack for charging electronics, along with the charging cables, earplugs and eye shade to help you sleep at night,
A little too quiet.
sunscreen lotion, extra food to snack on, a backpack rain cover if there's any possibility of rain, and of course your toiletries like toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, medication, toilet paper, hand sanitizer.
etc., etc.
Mailboxes, etc.
What am I getting into?
Curious what the trek will be like besides constantly walking? This section is definitely for you. Once you arrive in Sembalun and unpack, there are 2 large waterfalls nearby that are worth visiting. There are also no lights anywhere, so you'll want to make sure to visit at least an hour or more before the sun sets, which should be a little after 6 p.m. Starting on the first day, you can grab breakfast at the provided accommodations, then meet your guide and hop in the back of a truck to the park registration. Following this, you'll continue the ride over to the beginning of the trek, and after taking the obvious starting point photos, the trek will begin. You'll start by walking through a winding forest and then onto a vast open field with great views but no shade cover anywhere. You'll continue by passing many cows as well as being passed by lots of porters as they race up to prepare people's lunches. And speaking about these porters, these guys are tough, walking so much faster than us, usually in sandals, all while carrying so much more weight than we have. Then after a few hours, you'll run into post 1 of 4, where there's multiple huts set up for relaxing, eating, and recovering. You'll see many cows and monkeys hanging around here,
I love wildlife.
and hopefully sweeping views in all directions. Once you're rested up, the landscape will change dramatically as you will start to climb vertically much quicker. You'll be encountering a few more of these resting posts as well as a couple of these shops, and endless amounts of picturesque views. You'll also be able to see exactly where the trek started. Towards the end of the day, you'll constantly be in view of Mount Rinjani Summit, which hopefully you'll be seeing the sunrise from in the next morning. And then once you reach that volcano's crater rim, you'll be treated to a truly fantastic view inside the volcano, and your day 1 of hiking will finally be over. Once your guide locates the campsite, you'll be shown your tent, the toilet,
A hole in the ground.
and along with a table and chairs for you to relax and take in the sunset. As much as you might want to enjoy this sunset, getting a good night's sleep is highly recommended, since you'll have an extremely early wake-up call around 2 a.m.
Day 2.
Once day 2 starts, you'll probably not be in great spirits. It'll be completely pitch black out, so you'll have no views of anything, and the only light you'll have is the small headlamp. And to make matters worse, you'll be getting colder and colder the higher up you go. The only positive here is that you can leave most of your belongings in the tent. Once you're finally at the summit, you can relax a teeny bit as the island slowly comes into view as the sun rises over the horizon. Seeing this was pretty spectacular, even though it was freezing out and we had 60-mile-an-hour winds. But now that the sun rose, you can't get too comfy since you'll have to hike down all the way to the campsite again for some well-deserved breakfast. This is followed up by packing up and getting back on the trail. At this point, basically every day the center of the volcano where the lake is basically fills up with clouds by 10 or 11 in the morning, so if you want some awesome views today, you'll want to leave much earlier than 10 a.m. We unfortunately did not, so we ended up with cloudy and foggy views almost the entire walk down into the volcano where the lake is. The clouds do move extremely quickly though, which gives an otherworldly feel. You also may realize that you were just at the beach at sea level a couple days ago. Those were the good times. Once at the lake, you'll see the last hut of the day if you need to purchase anything, as well as maybe some locals fishing nearby. After taking a well-deserved rest here, the trek will split into 2 routes. The Torean Route, which goes through the valley, and the second crater rim site that has a great sunrise view. If we took the Torean Route, you'll end up grabbing lunch at a natural hot spring where you'll be able to wash up or go fully in if you packed a swimsuit. You could also possibly visit a nearby cave. We were pleasantly surprised with the picturesque, steep valleys. It reminded us a lot of the landscape we had seen in Nepal and northern Vietnam. Ultimately, after passing a large waterfall and with a lot of ups and downs on the trail, you should find your campsite already set up near a river and surrounded by nature. This part was really special since there were seemingly no other people around and just taking in the quiet surroundings.
A little too quiet.
On an early day 3 from your picturesque campsite, you'll pack up again after breakfast and follow a winding trail along the side of the valley wall. The views throughout this valley were something else. If we weren't so tired from the 2 previous days, we would have enjoyed this so much more. You'll be able to see one last waterfall before the trek becomes pretty uneventful with forests slowly covering up all the views. The trek will wrap up on a small paved road and ends with similar signage that you saw at the beginning of the trek. And that, my friends, has been the Mount Rinjani Trekking Guide. If you're at all interested in one of these for our other 3 treks that we've done, please let us know in the comments.